This week is the 76th anniversary of the liberation of the Nazi death camp Auschwitz. We commemorate that date every year in Holocaust Memorial Day, and this year the theme is Be the Light in the Darkness. Now, this is an incredibly profound theme this year because we're living through very dark times, very challenging, very difficult times for all of us. And actually, I think it's an inspiring theme, and it really links to something that Martin Luther King, the civil rights leader, said. He said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that." And as we live through these challenging times, it's vital that we keep this sentiment in our minds, and the stories and experiences of those who were the light in the darkness throughout the Holocaust can guide us.
One such individual that played an important role in saving a number of Jewish lives was Leopold Soka. Leopold Soka was a Jew that lived in the Polish city of Lvov, and his job was maintaining the sewers, so he's a sewer worker. In his early life, Soka had been convicted of a number of petty crimes, but in 1943 he would more than make up for any crimes that he committed earlier by saving a number of lives. Whilst working in the sewers in 1943, along with his colleague Stefan Wroblewski, he discovered several Jews who had escaped the liquidation of Lvov's ghetto. The ghetto liquidation meant that Jews would be rounded up and sent to a concentration camp, a death camp, and these Jews escaped into the sewer and were hoping then to escape the city. Soka realised that if they did attempt to escape, they would be caught at the sewer's edge by the Gestapo and the SS and would be killed immediately. So, along with Wroblewski, decided to help the Jews, and in return for payment, brought the Jews clothes, food, water, and a number of other key materials. However, as time went on, the Jewish people ran out of money. But Soka didn't turn his back on them. Soka continued to be that light in the darkness they would see approach with supplies on a daily basis. He would source them clothes, he would source them food, he would even source them newspapers. Soka would also be responsible for sourcing them religious artefacts, such as he would get them Torahs so that he would bring to the sewer so they could follow their traditions. And in particular, every Friday he would turn up with candles so they could observe the Sabbath. This was highly dangerous, not only for the Jews, but also for the rescuers and for their benefactors. And Soka and Wroblewski and their wives risked their lives on a daily basis. One of the Jewish survivors, Christina Chiga, who was only 7 years old when she began hiding, remembered that Leopold would bring whatever we requested. He even brought candles every Friday for the Sabbath meal, arguing that Jews should keep their religious traditions even in the sewers. Christina believed that Leopold was trying to make up for the crimes he had committed when he was much younger, and she wrote that, "I did not get the sense that Soka would ever abandon us. From the very beginning I could see that this was not in his nature." Leopold's actions saved the lives of 10 Jewish people, including Christina, her brother and her mother. After spending 30 months in hiding in the sewers of Lvov, the Russians liberated the city, and 10 survivors emerged out of the darkness of the sewers and were greeted by the Soka family and taken to their home and given shelter and to celebrate their emancipation. Leopold Soka unfortunately died in a motor accident in 1946, but was not forgotten by the Jewish people that he rescued, and in 1978, alongside his wife and Stefan, was given the honour of righteous among the nation.
Another story of a person who was the light in the darkness is Lydia Maximovich. She was born in 1940, and 1940 was the year after the start of the Second World War. She was born in Belarus, and it was 1943 when the Nazis invaded her country. And very quickly, the Jewish population of Belarus were rounded up and deported to the death camps. On arrival at Auschwitz death camp, Lydia was selected by Dr. Mengele for experimentations, and she spent 2 years under his controls. At only 3 years old, she remembers feeling terrified of dogs at the camp and of Dr. Mengele himself. She remembers long periods of time lying listless on the hospital bed and also not being able to see. And the reason for that, she's since discovered, is because of the experiments that were performed upon her. She had bodily fluids removed to see how much a human body could withstand to lose, and also chemical injections in her eyes to establish whether it was possible for a human to have their eye colour changed. And that resulted in days of blindness. Now, Lydia survived the camp because her mother smuggled packages of food for her, but sadly her mother was taken from the camp in 1945 on a death march, and she never returned. At the age of 5 years old, Lydia was liberated from the death camp, and at that point, although she'd survived, she was totally alone. She was adopted by a local family, and they helped her to discover the lightness, helped her to move on from the darkness of her captivity. They taught her how to play, something that she'd lost the ability to be able to do while in the camp. As a young adult, Lydia made the deliberate decision to turn her back on the darkness of this terrible childhood. She fell in love, married, had a family, and devoted her life to raising them. When she was in her 60s, she made the very deliberate decision, however, to return to the darkness, to talk about her difficult childhood. And it was here in 2015 that the history team and a group of students heard Lydia talk when we visited Krakow in Poland. She decided to speak about her experience, not because she wanted to, but because she recognised that she had a huge responsibility. She was one of the few remaining survivors who was still alive and able to talk of those experiences. She made the decision, a very brave decision, that it was very important for as many people as possible to hear about the actions of the Nazis and the suffering they caused from someone who was there. She has devoted her life since then to ensuring her story is in the light, to guide other generations to make better decisions.
As you've seen, the theme for Holocaust Memorial Day is Light Up the Darkness, and both the individuals we have looked at in today's assembly did just that. And, as we can see, this light, even in the darkest of times, brings hope and survival. This was beautifully summed up in Amanda Gorman's inspiring poem, The Hill We Climb, that she wrote and read at President Biden's inauguration, when she said, "When day comes, we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid, the new dawn blooms as we free it, for there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it." Please consider the choices that you make and how each of these choices can help lighten not only your life, but the lives of others. Thank you.